Here we are with the very first essay of the semester, the argument of fact essay. The argument of fact essay is to be a minimum of 1,000 words long, in which you present and support an argument of fact, as defined in Everything's an Argument, Chapter 8. So if you haven't got your textbook yet, guess what? You're already behind. Your essay must cite a minimum of 6 sources. Now, minimum is not maximum. You may always have more. Okay, I'm not saying it can only be 6. It could be 7, 8, 30. Well, probably not 30, but they can always have more. At least 6 of your sources must originate in print or have print analogs. What does that mean? It means it's a book or an article from a newspaper or a magazine or a scholarly journal. It could be a dissertation. It could be a government publication. It is something that was printed. Okay. Now, it doesn't matter how you get it. You could have gotten off the web, right? That's why we call it a print analog, right? It exists in print and online. Now, these sources must be presented in correct MLA fashion with parenthetical in-text documentation and works cited page. So please make sure you're using the latest edition of MLA to do your work correctly. Dictionaries and encyclopedias and other general reference works do not count as sources. Again, this doesn't mean they are prohibited. It just means they don't count towards your 6. Now, at least 2 of those 6 sources must be articles like from scholarly journals, or maybe a dissertation, or something from a university press book. This is scholarly academic work, okay? And essays that are written at this level need to have some, let's call it gravitas, the kind of serious quality and the reliability that comes from scholarly work that may not be evident in other types of work. Now, your essay must contain at least one table or figure properly noted and incorporated into the text. Found on the MLA website at, and here we have this wonderful hyperlink to click on and take you right there. Now, if this doesn't work for some reason, let me know. But you can go to the MLA website on your own at our web links module on Canvas as well. Okay, and you'll find it there too. Also, you might want to take a look at the sample essay that I have posted because, of course, it does have the proper figure or table. You must also provide a word count at the end of your essay. Okay, and with the way computers are these days, that's very easy to get. Do not include the name block, works cited page entries, or table or figure in your word count. Okay. Now, the good part about English 205 is you get to choose your own topics, but there are some limits. First of all, most importantly, you got to make sure what you're writing about fits for the argument of fact essay, because there's lots of different types of arguments. And an argument of fact is a particular type of argument. Again, please go back to Chapter 8 to see what I'm talking about. But I do want to steer clear of abortion, death penalty, child abuse, and religion. I will not accept any papers on any of those topics. They are, quite frankly, done to death, so to speak. And there are many other topics to choose from. So if you just got your old high school death penalty paper and you think you're going to reuse that, no. Now, please remember, good writing begins with good ideas. But good ideas are not necessarily easy to find. The first idea that pops into your head is not usually a very good idea, okay? You got to scramble around a little bit. Find something interesting. Not the same old, okay? That's boring. Good writing begins with good ideas, but good ideas are not easy to find. That's what separates the good from the not so good. Now, we do this in a series of steps, okay? We don't just say, here's your paper, turn it in on such and such a day. We actually try to break this down into some more manageable assignments to kind of get us to the final draft. The first assignment is the proposal, where you propose to me what you're going to write about. So you're to submit a proposal to me on Canvas by Friday, June the 25th. Remember what I said in my opening introduction. No procrastination in this class. 11:59 p.m. Okay. 11:59. In other words, you have all of Friday, right up to the very last minute. The proposal should be written as described in Chapter 8, page 182. Okay, so look at that where it says preparing a proposal. Now, there is a sample proposal also in our module for fact. I'd like you to look at that, follow it very carefully. We haven't done the Tolman model yet. Okay, so on this assignment, we're not going to do the Tolman part. We're just going to put in a hypothesis, your proposed thesis statement. I don't need to have the breakdown of claim, reason, and warrant. That will come later this semester. Now, in addition to what's described in our textbook on page 182, I want you to include 2 sources in an annotated bibliography. What does that mean? It means you're going to give the correct MLA entry for the source, okay, showing that your mastery of MLA format, and a paragraph of description and evaluation for each of those sources. So you have 2 sources, 2 paragraphs following each of them. Again, there's a sample proposal on Canvas in the module for the fact essay. So make sure you take a look at that proposal. Now, after I receive those proposals, I'll be creating work groups in which you submit a rough draft on Wednesday, June the 30th. Okay, so Friday, your proposals are due. Early next week, you'll get them graded back. You should already be working on the rough draft, unless I've already said, hey, wait a minute, this proposal is terrible, you can't do this. That doesn't happen very often. A lot of times I have suggestions for change, but I rarely say can't do it, unless, of course, you've ignored my admonition not to write about abortion, death penalty, child abuse, or religion, in which case you will fail. Now, rough drafts will be due to the work groups on Wednesday, June the 30th at 11:59. What will happen with this is that you will submit the rough draft to me and to a work group that I create. The work group will consist of 3, 4, or 5, ideally 4. Sometimes it's a little more, sometimes it's a little less. Students within the class. And you will submit your rough draft to me and to them. And they will submit the same way. They will submit to me and to you. Then you have 2 days until Friday of that week to review those rough drafts and fill out a peer edit sheet for each of the rough drafts that you received. Okay? Now, here's my big advice. That rough draft should not be a small thing. It should be a very big thing. As it says here, the more work you put into the draft, the better your final draft will be. Okay, so if your rough draft is very shoddy, you know it's not very good, you didn't put a lot of work into it, you thought, well, I'll do the work on the final draft. The bottom line is you're not going to get any input from your peers as to what to do because you didn't put any work into the rough draft. On the other hand, if your rough draft is a pretty good, sincere effort, and you've got over half of it done, over half of your paper done, or maybe even, hopefully, the whole paper done, then the peer edits will be more significant. Okay. Otherwise, like I said, the difference in the grades of essays that have been peer edited and those that have not is striking. And what I mean to say is, if you have a lousy rough draft, you're probably going to have a lousy final draft. It's like a law of physics. Now be sure to consult the out-of-class paper guidelines, which are posted in the modules on Canvas, and the MLA handbook. I have handouts. Now the MLA handbook itself is a recommended text. It's not a required text. But I do have that handout sheet for you. And of course, there's the website itself, and there's the Purdue OWL website. There's a lot of resources out there to help you with MLA. Okay, so there's no excuse not to have proper MLA done. Peer editing sheets are to be turned in by Friday, July the 2nd, both to me, again, and to the peer editing group, because the point is now you have access to what the students said to you about your rough draft, and they have access to what you said to them about their rough draft. You will need to revise and polish your essay and turn in the final draft on Tuesday, July the 6th. Since the 4th of July falls on a Sunday this summer, we will be celebrating it with a holiday on Monday, July the 5th, so no work will be due on July the 5th. It'll be due the next day, July the 6th. Please remember that I do not accept late work. No late essays will be accepted without a verifiable medical or legal excuse. Right? Acceptable excuses do not include work conflicts, they do not include family conflicts, they do not include technical problems. Make sure that everything is taken care of. Only if you wind up in the ER or something like that, or you wind up in jail, will you be excused. Actually, probably jail shouldn't be an excuse. Don't they get Wi-Fi in jail? Oh, never mind. I have no idea. So your minimum requirements here will be at least 1,000 words, which includes only the composition part of your essay. In other words, doesn't include the works cited page, doesn't include any tables or charts or diagrams that you may have. At least 6 sources, all of which are cited in the paper. Okay, now you can always have more, as I said. At least 3 of those sources originate in print or have print analogs. I couldn't squeeze analog in here. At least 2 of those sources are from scholarly journals. Should be scholarly works overall. Not it could be a book, could be a dissertation, could be a journal. Your essay has a table or figure. Check the MLA website to make sure you're doing that properly. And as I said, you can always look at the sample that I posted. And make sure, of course, you have correct MLA documentation for both in-text and works cited page. Since we are now moved into the 9th edition of MLA, make sure that you are current with that, although I believe the 9th is very, very similar to the 8th. I don't think they made very substantial changes in format. Okay? If you have any questions, make sure that you communicate to me either by email or by Canvas message. If you need to talk, let's see if we can set up a time by Zoom that we can talk together. Good luck.